Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a completely normal day and still felt uneasy for no clear reason? Nothing bad happened, no crisis, no disaster, and yet your mind kept scanning for something wrong. When was the last time your brain truly rested? Not distracted, not scrolling, but actually at ease. Exactly. That's not a coincidence, and it's not your fault. Your brain treats uncertainty like danger, and once you understand that, everything about your anxiety starts to make sense. Chapter 1. The Morning Test. Picture a completely normal morning. No chaos, no sirens, no dramatic soundtrack. You wake up. For a split second, there's silence. Then you reach for your phone. One unread message, one email notification, one headline that uses the word crisis a little too casually. And something subtle happens. Your body moves into alert mode. Your breathing becomes a little shallow. Your jaw presses slightly firmer. Your eyes focus harder. You don't consciously decide this, it just happens. Because before you even read the message, your brain has already run simulations. Who is it? Did something go wrong? Is this going to be all right? Is this going to cost me something? You haven't even opened the app, but your nervous system has shifted from neutral to alert. That shift, that's your survival system warming up. And here's the key. Your brain treats uncertainty as danger. Your brain doesn't like uncertainty. Not knowing feels like lack of control, and lack of control signals potential threat. Potential threat triggers preparation. Your amygdala, your brain's early warning system, reacts before your rational mind even gets a vote. So your body prepares. Heart rate adjusts. Stress hormones rise slightly. Attention narrows. Not because something bad has happened, but because something could happen. Your brain doesn't wait for confirmed danger. It prepares for possible danger. And that preparation doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like low-level anxiety. Background tension. That strange sense that something is slightly off, even though nothing is actually wrong. Now zoom out for a second. This happens almost every morning, not because your life is chaotic, but because your brain treats open loops like unfinished business. Unread message, open loop. Unopened email, open loop. Breaking news alert, open loop. Open loops are like background tabs in your mind, and your brain hates background tabs. So it starts scanning. Scanning for tone, scanning for threat, scanning for what might need attention. You haven't even gotten out of bed yet, and your system is already in task mode, already bracing, already allocating resources, all before coffee, because to your brain, uncertainty feels like danger. Chapter 2. Your brain was built for threats, not comfort. This morning's reaction isn't random. It's ancient. Your brain was not designed for peace. It was not optimized for fulfillment, or clarity, or emotional balance. It was optimized for survival. And survival has very low aesthetic standards. Let's go back 30,000 years. You're walking through tall grass. You hear something move. You have two options. Option A, relax, it's probably nothing. Option B, something might kill me. The people who chose option A didn't become ancestors. The people who chose option B passed on their DNA. So congratulations, you are the descendants of professional overreactors. Your brain learned a simple rule. Better to detect danger 100 times unnecessarily than miss it once. False alarm? Annoying. Missed predator? Fatal. So evolution built your nervous system with a bias. Look for what's wrong first. Scan the environment. Scan the tribe. Scan yourself. If something feels uncertain, investigate. If something feels off, assume risk. That habit never got deleted. It just changed targets. Today, there are no tigers, but your brain didn't retire. It just found new threats. Instead of asking, "Is that a predator in the bushes?" it now asks, "Why did they reply so short? What if I mess up in that meeting? What if I chose the wrong career? What if everyone secretly thinks I'm incompetent?" Same system, different jungle. You're not in a forest, you're in Slack. Ancient hardware, modern operating system. For early humans, survival wasn't just about predators. It was about the longing. If the tribe rejected you, you didn't just feel awkward, you died. No protection, no food, no backup. So your brain evolved to treat social tension as physical danger. A strange tone in someone's voice can activate the same threat circuits that once responded to a charging animal. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a lion approaching and they seemed annoyed. To your brain, both threaten survival. One threatens your body, the other threatens your belonging. Historically, both mattered. And that's why uncertainty feels like danger. Now think about work. You send an email. 5 minutes later, was that too direct? You present something. Later that night, did I miss something obvious? You lie in bed replaying small details no one else even remembers. Because your brain assumes mistakes mean consequences. Consequences mean instability. Instability means danger. It exaggerates the stakes just to stay safe.
Chapter 3. The Everyday Thought Trap. Let's run a small experiment. No journaling, no meditation app, just honesty. Think about something you've been avoiding. A decision, a message, a move you know you should make. Got it? Now listen to the voice that shows up. Not the surface words, the tone. It probably sounds confident, authoritative, certain. It doesn't whisper, it declares. This is going to go badly. You're not ready. This isn't the right time. You should wait. It sounds logical, strategic, even mature. But here's the real question. Does it sound calm or does it sound tense? Your brain is very good at one thing, taking a feeling and turning it into a conclusion. You feel discomfort, your brain translates it into, "This is wrong." You feel uncertainty, it translates into, "This will fail." You feel vulnerability, it translates into, "This is a mistake." Emotion becomes story. Story becomes certainty. All in milliseconds. And because the thought arrives fully formed, you assume it's intelligent. The brain hates uncertainty, so it fills the gaps fast. It would rather give you a confident wrong answer than leave a question open. Certainty feels safer than ambiguity, even if the certainty is negative. So instead of saying, "I don't know what will happen," your brain jumps to the worst outcome because worst feels safer than hoping for the best. Again, protection, not sabotage. Next time a thought sounds absolutely certain, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this calm analysis or is this fear trying to prevent exposure? Calm thinking feels steady. Fear feels urgent. Let's say this clearly. You are not negative. You are not weak. You are not wired wrong. You are not secretly broken. You are running a survival system in a world it was never designed for. Your brain was built for small tribes, clear roles, immediate threats, predictable routines, not infinite notifications, career ambiguity, social comparison at scale, endless open decisions. The hardware is ancient, the environment is modern, and the mismatch creates noise. Most people think the goal is to silence the thoughts, but thoughts are alarms, and alarms exist for a reason. Your job isn't to rip the alarm off the wall. Your job is to stop treating every beep like a fire. Not every alert requires action. Not every anxious thought is a command. Some are just outdated safety protocols. When you build systems, when your days have a rhythm, when decisions are handled in advance, when your environment becomes predictable, something subtle happens. The volume lowers. Your mind stops shouting. Not because you forced it into silence, but because it no longer detects constant instability. Survival systems calm down when survival feels secure. You are not anxious. You are adaptive. You are not pessimistic. You are protective. You are not overthinking. You are forecasting. The problem isn't your wiring. It's the amount of ambiguity you're swimming in. And ambiguity keeps alarms active. Reduce ambiguity, and the system softens. Chapter 4. Your mind is a bodyguard, not a best friend. Here's something that might sting a little. Your mind is not your motivational coach. It's not your life strategist. It's not your personal hype team. It's a bodyguard. And not the calm, emotionally intelligent kind. The aggressive one, the one who assumes everyone is a threat. Your brain does not wake up asking, how can we grow today? It wakes up asking, how can we avoid damage? That's a completely different goal. Growth requires exposure. Exposure increases uncertainty. Uncertainty activates threat detection. So when you think about starting something new, posting your idea, switching careers, speaking up, taking a risk, your brain instantly runs worst-case simulations. Not because it hates you, because it's scanning for danger. Your brain doesn't prioritize potential success, it prioritizes potential harm. That's the job description. Notice something. The voice in your head doesn't say, I'm scared. It says, this is a bad idea. It disguises fear as logic. It presents protection as wisdom. It makes caution sound intelligent. And because the tone feels rational, you obey it. Over and over. Here's another rule your brain follows. Familiar equals safe. Unfamiliar equals risky. Even if the familiar situation is frustrating, limiting, boring, unfulfilling, your brain still prefers it. Because predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable outcomes. You might hate your current situation, but your brain understands it, and understanding reduces uncertainty. Growth also requires vulnerability, and vulnerability means possible embarrassment, possible rejection, possible failure. To your nervous system, that sounds like social exile, loss of status, loss of security. Remember earlier humans? If the tribe rejected you, you didn't just feel awkward, you didn't survive. So your brain treats people might judge you like your survival might be compromised. That sounds dramatic, but evolution is dramatic. You call it self-sabotage. Your brain calls it risk management. You think, why do I always stop myself? Your brain thinks, why would we gamble stability? It would rather keep you small but safe than bold but exposed. It prefers a predictable cage over an uncertain open field, because in the wild, open fields meant vulnerability. The issue isn't that your brain protects you. The issue is that it overestimates modern threats. Public embarrassment isn't death. Career shifts aren't exile. Posting online isn't a predator encounter. But your nervous system doesn't operate on logic. It operates on pattern recognition. And it sees exposure as risk. So it intervenes. Every time. Chapter 5. Why Positive Thinking Feels Fake. Now let's talk about the advice. You've heard it. Just think positive. Replace the thought. Focus on the good. Manifest better vibes. And notice what happens when you actually try it. Your brain doesn't relax. It argues. You say, everything is fine.
Your brain says, based on what data? You say, I'm capable. Your brain says, citation needed. You say, it will work out. Your brain says, that sounds speculative. Here's why this happens. The brain doesn't run on slogans. It runs on evidence. It runs on pattern recognition. If your recent experiences include overwhelm, uncertainty, missed expectations, unfinished problems, your nervous system has collected data, and affirmations don't override data. Imagine your brain as a risk analyst. Its entire job is prediction. If the pattern it sees is life is unpredictable, it predicts more unpredictability. If the pattern it sees is decisions lead to stress, it predicts stress. Now you step in and say, everything is amazing. Your brain checks its records, historically inaccurate, and continues scanning. Here's the twist. When you try to suppress negative thoughts, your brain increases monitoring because suppression signals danger. If you're trying this hard to avoid a thought, your nervous system assumes it must be important, so it brings it back. Stronger, louder, more convincing. Not to annoy you, to protect you. The brain doesn't care what you say, it cares what your environment signals. If your day is chaotic, unstructured, full of unfinished decisions, packed with constant input, your nervous system stays on guard. No affirmation overrides a chaotic environment. Safety isn't verbal, it's structural. Positive thinking feels fake when it doesn't match lived experience. If your body still feels tense, if your schedule still feels unstable, if your future still feels unclear, your brain rejects optimism. Not because it's negative, but because it's unconvinced. Your brain believes repetition. It believes consistency. It believes patterns, not phrases.
Chapter 6. The Shift. Stop arguing, start designing. Here's the part most people completely miss. You don't quiet the mind by winning arguments with it. You quiet it by removing the reasons it feels threatened. Arguing with your brain is like debating a fire alarm. You can shout, relax. It will keep ringing because it's responding to smoke, not your opinion. Most people try to fight their thoughts. They journal harder, affirm harder, reason harder. But the brain isn't loud because it's irrational. It's loud because it detects instability. Your nervous system asks one question all day. How predictable is this environment? If the answer is unclear, chaotic, constantly shifting, it stays alert. Notice when you feel calm. Not hyped, not distracted, actually calm. It's usually when you know what needs to be done. You know when you'll do it. You know what happens next. Clarity lowers threat. Predictability lowers vigilance. Routines reduce decision load. When choices are limited, your brain doesn't have to simulate every outcome. Less simulation equals less anxiety. Notice the difference? No affirmations, no motivational speech, just clarity. And the volume drops. Every unmade decision is an open loop. What time should I wake up? When should I start? Should I reply now or later? What if I change my mind? Each one consumes energy, not because they're hard, because they're unresolved. Your brain hates unresolved, so it keeps them active. Background processing, constantly. Structure closes loops. Closed loops quiet systems. This isn't mindset. This isn't about thinking better. It's about designing environments that reduce perceived threat. Clear boundaries, defined schedules, fewer inputs, fewer open options. When life feels handled, your brain stops micromanaging because it no longer has to. Stop trying to silence thoughts. Start reducing instability. You don't calm a survival system with optimism. You calm it with predictability. That's not positive thinking. That's engineering. Chapter 7. The Identity Reframe. Let's say this clearly. You are not negative. You are not weak. You are not wired wrong. You are running ancient survival software in a modern, uncertainty-rich environment. The hardware is old, the inputs are overwhelming, and the mismatch creates noise. Not every alarm is a fire, but your system rings anyway because uncertainty feels like danger. When you reduce instability, when your environment becomes structured, when ambiguity decreases, the volume lowers. Not because you forced it, because the data improved.
Conclusion. The quiet ending. Your mind isn't against you. It's protecting you the only way it knows how. It reacts to uncertainty, not because you're weak, but because it was built for survival. Scared systems don't need pressure. They need stability. So breathe. This was never a character flaw. Just an old alarm learning that the world is safer than it thinks. You don't calm the brain by arguing with it. You calm it by reducing the reasons it feels threatened. Predictability, clarity, resolved decisions, reduced uncertainty. When the pattern changes, the thoughts change. Not because you forced them, because the data improved. Your brain doesn't need motivation. It needs evidence of safety, consistency, clarity, repetition, boundaries. When life feels structured, when risk is intentional, not chaotic, when uncertainty is managed instead of constant, your mind relaxes. Not because you conquered it, but because it finally feels safe enough to stand down.